Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session under Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5, subsection A, subsection 2. Sessions pertaining to collective bargaining, litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. Mr. Boucher, potential litigation. Motion is to seal the records and that no votes were taken. Let me reverse that. No votes were taken and to seal the records.
Second by the chair. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item number 7, discussion by council of board other action on proposal by PARE Corporation, John SHEVLIN, to address signage.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to continue agenda item number 6, discussion by council of board action on resolution regarding new and grinder pumps, until our next meeting, dated February 16th, 2016.
Second.
Okay, motion by Councilman Solly, second by Councilwoman Alves. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Docket item number 7, discussion by council of board other action on proposal by PARE Corporation, John SHEVLIN, to address signage deficiencies in the Greenville Road, Providence, Pike, Grange Road area, and other roadway safety needs based on a 2001 traffic study. Mr. SHEVLIN?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. We submitted a proposal, I believe last Wednesday, January 27th, based on some discussions with the president. There's a desire to go ahead and take a look in regards to signage out by the 3 schools out in Greenville Road and Providence Pike. We prepared a proposal, just looking at the basic services that we provide as far as coordination with the town, coordination with the Rhode Island Department of Transportation, data collection process where we field document in regards to what's out there existing for signs, and then come up with a plan development cost estimate for signs that may be recommended based on engineering standards and guidelines. We will summarize that with a plan, a summary memo in regards to our findings of existing conditions, and then also what should be proposed or could be proposed based on the manual and uniform traffic control devices manual. So we provided that proposal, and just looking to see if the council has any questions.
Did you look at the 2011 traffic study, Mr.
I
SHEVLIN?
did review that briefly, yes.
Do you know how many signs that there roughly that may need to be changed or?
I haven't gotten into too much detail. I mean, MUDSID, which is the manual that provides guidance on sign locations, they, as far as school zones, they have guidelines for that. It goes up to a state statute or local statute as far as school zones. Some signs are optional, some signs are dependent on the need in regards to how much you want to enforce it. So it could vary in regards to how many signs could be placed on that area. They do recommend in regards to the area where you're trying to go ahead and look for enforcing speed to have advanced signs for the school zone to let violators know in regards to there is a reduced speed coming up. So that should be put in place as far as notifying users of the roadway. So we haven't gotten into detail. I mean, I'm guessing that maybe somewhere between maybe 8 to maybe 16 signs or so, depending on what we're looking at out there.
There's also too, I noticed on Greenville Road, there are some signs that have a stipulation of a time constraint.
Correct. Well, those signs could be, again, coordination with the town in regards to what you want to put out there. I mean, a lot of schools right now have activities that go from 7:30 in the morning to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. So those are flexible based on what's it. It's really set in regards to what the local need is as far as time restrictions, or whether they need to be put in there at all. I mean, it could be just a school zone and have a speed limit in that stretch of roadway. I know there's areas in Rhode Island, particularly I think down on West Main Road, where they have school zones that are all day long. So that's something that could be certainly looked at in regards to what the desire is of the town.
The concerns are we have 3 schools within 1.2 miles.
It's pretty heavy.
Right, so I mean, it's proper signages of his utmost importance, and,
Correct.
any further questions from council?
Did you happen to notice if there's any inconsistencies between signage between the three schools? As far as time constraints, speed, anything?
I went out there probably about an hour or so, and just drove around just to see what's out there. I didn't document anything yet, just to see, get a general feel in regards to what's out there. I don't recall any time constraints down by the elementary school. I think there was some down in the area of the high school, but again, that's, like I said, it's just driving around to see what's there and then what we need to do to go ahead and look into this further. So I really have to go out there and really document in regards to what the existing conditions are.
Is it possible, you have like a basically a ballpark figure what this may cost us?
Per sign, it's probably in the order of magnitude of, I'd say about $350 per sign. You know, again, that comes up to, depending on the contractor, depending on the size of the project, but typically for a write-out project, we see it's about $350 per sign, for a standard, typical sign.
Does this have to go through RIDOT?
This would have, these are state roads, so DOT would certainly at least have to review it.
Would they be constructing signs as well, or would a third-party company would have to go out to bid?
That's something, a discussion would have to be with DOT. I did talk to DOT just early on in regards to just some of the history in regards to what's there, and they went in and said, you know, there could be signs missing out there, there could be, you know, what needs to be done. I was stating to Mr. Boucher the other day that the DOT does have an on-call contract, so maybe somebody can work with DOT as far as having that add into another project. As far as the signs, let's see, some that we worked out. Like, you know, a lot of times they're open for that type of thing, they'll add them into a project that's going out to bid. So they could certainly take the plan that's developed here, insert that, and put that out to bid.
If there's deficiency in the signage, would that fall on the local taxpayer, or would that be a state DOT issue where they would fund?
If the DOT is able to, that'd be, you know, through the state, that'd be something they would fund.
Be able to work with our highway superintendent dealing with issues on Grange Road for signage as well?
Yes, yes, that's also included in here too, in regards to taking a look as far as trying to reduce some of the country traffic that's been talked about, So we certainly work with them and talk about in regards to what signs are suitable as far as installing.
What kind of time frame are we looking at if we were to start this from start to finish to get all the signs out there?
We could have our plans done within, say, 2 weeks, so we could turn around relatively quick. And that's just a matter of regards to who puts it out to bid. You know, if it's a state, we'd have to check to see what kind of schedule they have. If some of the town puts out the bid, again, we'd have to see, you know, really fall back in regards to whoever puts it out to bid, how quick they can get it out and get it installed or awarded.
Who installs the signs?
Typically, they have a sign contractor. You know, there's sign manufacturers, which I also include in here in regards to it does go through the town and give you a list of some of the sign suppliers that could certainly do that, sign suppliers and contractors.
Okay.
Go ahead, Paul.
Mr. Shevlin, thank you for your time. Basically, the Park Corporation will be, the contract, or the understanding will be $4,360 to the town for the company services, correct?
That's correct.
And then ballpark figure is $250 per sign.
I think 350.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I wrote down
Yeah.
250. Is it 350?
Yeah.
So that all being said, how expeditious, how could we work with RIDOT? If your corporation came up with the study, and of course RIDOT's got to look at it and review it, I would like to see the expense of the signs and installation laid right where it belongs with the state of Rhode Island. I don't know what's transpired in the past, if not, but is that, in your working with RIDOT, what do you think of turnaround time? If, you know, your reputable engineering firm comes, they look at it, and they say, yes, we're off anywhere from 7 to 8 or 12 signs, whatever the case may be. What might be the time frame? I know I'm asking to be clairvoyant, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on what they have going on the street for construction, that they could add it into an existing contract. I think it's a project relatively this small. I think they want to put out as a separate contract, but I think they have a project that they're putting out the bid, and they want to add that in there. They'd have to check to see what projects they have upcoming as far as putting out the bid. I mean, most of the road projects, all have signs are in there, so they could certainly add that into a road project type of deal, so.
Okay, I can't nail you down to a time frame. So if the town was to do this and we put it in, we'd be out of pocket for the signs and the installation, when it truly is a state of Rhode Island's issue.
It's a state road, so there's, like I said, they're certainly gonna have want to go ahead and do the review in regards to what needs to be done out there before anything is installed, and like I said, I think you'd probably get them to go ahead and put this out to construction as well. The timeframe's a tough one to answer, give you a specific date.
Okay, thank you.
So when you say $350 per sign, is that including labor to install? Or is that
It's installed, yeah.
installed too?
Yeah.
So we're probably talking about $15,000 for this project between your labor and the signs, if we had about 20 signs.
I think it's probably a little bit less. I mean, if there's 10, 15, depending on how many signs that are out there. I know some of the signs, just even by as far as color, they're not up to current Munson. Right now they go more the lime green, right now they're the yellow. So some of those may want to be replaced to bring them up to the current standards. So depending on how many signs are out, but yeah, if it's 20 signs that need to be there, but I'm not sure there's gonna be that many.
I would think before we commit any money, we find out the number of signs that are missing and how many the state would be responsible to pay for. At $350 per sign, 10 signs, $3,500, 20 signs, we're looking at $7 grand. If there's some that the state has missed over the years, or should have been in place over the past years, the state should be paying for.
Agree. That's
And
why.
if there's ones that we need as a town to have there, or we prefer to have there, you had stated something about the, usually it's a municipal thing as far as the timing goes with speed zones.
Correct.
I would think for those, we make the decision on whether or not those signs are there. But I do think that to jump in and spend that kind of money without investigating how much it's actually truly gonna cost us, when all's said and done at the end of the day, I think we need to get a list of what's missing and what's ours and what's the state's.
Well, the states would be Greenville Road, Providence Pike.
Right, but Mr. Shevlin stated that there's things that fall into the town purview. So if we want to have a 8:30 to 3 school zone, that's the town, that's not the state. So if we want that sign up, that would be our cost. But if there is a school ahead sign and that's mandated by the state, then that, to me, that would be the state's cost because it's a state road. It's not like the high school's new.
No, I understand that, but the problem is the Grange Road is a town road, so.
Well, correct, but that's what I'm saying, but we're not just talking about Grange Road, we're talking about Grange Road, Green Road. So again, if out of these potential of 16 signs, 8 are the state's and 8 are ours, well, I don't want to pay for the 8 that the state has to put up. I'll pay for our 8.
We can start out by coming up with a memo in regards to existing conditions, what's out there, the disposition of the signs, which ones are good, which ones need to be replaced. So provide that information so you have a better idea in regards to exactly how many will need to be replaced.
But we still need a basic study. So we can gather all this information.
Is that a motion, Mr. President?
It's a motion.
I second that.
So your study, so the study aspect of it will be roughly 4360?
That's right. That's for, study, developing the plan, come up with a cost estimate, and having the plans and then cost estimate ready for bid.
Okay.
And the study portion of it is, having somebody going out there for, half a day to 3/4 of a day, and then come up with a memo in regards to what are the existing conditions as far as signs and what is their disposition and what should be installed. So we can come up with a table showing the existing conditions and then what would be proposed, so which ones would need to be added or no. So.
Okay,
Um,
Mr. President. All right, so you basically, party would come up with a proposal, we review the proposal, then we make a decision to go forward on that proposal after we had a chance to review deficient signage, updated, new, et cetera.
Right.
Okay. And Mr. Solicitor, is this something that should go out to bid with the price?
That's on.
Again, it's a professional service contract, both under the charter. You have the ability, you can either do a qualification-based, you can look for other engineers, or your charter allows you to, I don't know how Mr. Shevlin was selected, I assume Mr. Shevlin done his work for the town.
We are currently doing the pavement project for the project.
Okay, so you've already been an existing contractor providing engineering services?
We are under contract right now. I think we're,
So you obviously have, I assume they've been vetted, but there's no requirement to go out to bid for professional services. You're supposed to either can do a qualification-based, if you really want to have another engineer make the same proposal to you, you can do that. You have the right to do that.
Thanks, I have a question for the solicitor. David, you've taken a look at this, is there any hidden costs we should be aware of in this contract?
No, the only two issues I had was one, to follow up on Councilman Solly's point, will the report indicate what sign would normally be a state sign versus a town sign? In your memo?
yeah, I think any of the signs that could be installed would be state. You know, they could be within the state right away. They could be, you know, within the guidelines of Munson. So I think they would all fall under the state.
And then two would be, part of your coordination, would you normally have any interaction with the state on behalf of towns? Normally this function is performed by a town engineer who contacts the state and says, you didn't put up these signs, you're supposed to have these signs. Will you be doing that for the town?
Yeah, we would be. We would be. And actually, I've already had discussions with DOT traffic, you know, just regards to when we first pulled on this project, just to find out where they stood as far as whether there's any outstanding work that they're doing out there. Because a lot of times they're on-call contracts. Sometimes when a state rep or the town sends a request to look at a certain area, I just want to make sure none of that work was already being done, so we're repeating efforts on behalf of the town.
So to close up your contract, will it include that we found 16 missing signs, we contacted DOT, and they're going to install them in 6 months? Would that be the sum total of the, I'm kind of paraphrasing, or would it be, we found the signs, now you contact DOT? That's what I'm trying to figure.
We'll coordinate that with DOT, and I think the goal is hopefully the DOT would say, yeah, well, you know, it's on a state road, we'll include this in a contract. I want to speak for the DOT.
Right, you can't promise the DOT will agree, but you'll say that.
But I think they would be in the state road.
And you'll coordinate that on behalf
I'll
of the town?
coordinate, yeah.
I don't think I think that's consistent with what you would want.
Yeah, that's coming back to my question. So for $4,360, Mr. Shevlin, you're going to present the case to the state of Rhode Island for us, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
And other than that, I think you would authorize, if you need a signature of the town administrator, there's no contract here, but are you just looking for approval of this proposal, or are you looking for a signature?
I put in there, we'll put in a separate form of agreement, which I think we went through a period with the contract similar for the pavement, so I would just take the one that we revised, because I think we had a few questions on it, and we made some revisions, so I think it'd be the same one that I would attach to this for a formal approval.
I'm satisfied, Mr. Vice President, I obviously, I don't see.
Yeah, I was just concerned about hidden costs and fees and who's going to present it. We'll get copies of everything, so, yeah, I'm satisfied with it. So, you had a motion, you had a second, Mr. President? And then we're going to, now, does this come back to us for approval before we ask the administrator to sign off on it?
Well, again, that's up to you. I mean, right now, Mr. Shevlin's here making a presentation. I don't believe he'll make another one. Like, if you authorize this, it'd be a contract for $43.60 to have him do this, perform this function, and have the administrator sign the contract. It appears to me it's being added on to existing work.
I don't think it's being added on to existing work. I think this would be a standalone. It's not going to be part of the contract.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But I will take the same, what I meant to say was that the stipulations that we had questions on for the payment, there was some changes that we had to our standard contract. So I just take I'm assuming those changes that we had to the standard contract that we discussed before would be incorporated to this contract to help cover the towns. And so it'll be the same contract agreement as what I would propose, just attached to this.
Mr. Shevlin, was it, gentleman wants to ask you a question, Mr. Cardone?
Actually, Ms. Boucher, the questions for the council, just clarification, and I thought it was answered in the last comment, maybe I think it wasn't. Adding Mr. Shevlin's proposal onto an existing contract. should be very clear. The proposal that Mr. Shevlin is providing to the council right now is completely independent of the PBIC bond money. So this is not, PARE is working with the PBIC. They're doing a great job. They're doing everything we need and timely. I think actually ahead of schedule. Actually, I talked about it. We'll slow them down. No, don't tell us that. But, yeah, so this is independent. This proposal is independent.
It's a standalone contract.
It's a standalone contract, so it's not to be, and if I can, I said I wasn't gonna do this, but.
This is a point while Mr. Mr. President, this contract, anything that we decide to move forward with, school signs, any signage has nothing to do with PBIC, it is not under PBIC oversight.
That's correct.
That's what I'm saying, absolutely grand.
Public safety.
And then on the whole issue, I sent the council an email, which I think speaks for itself, but I'll just say, the DOT, one way or another, they were advised of an alleged issue, problem traffic out there. They were very proactive. They came back with we'll call it the Cadillac of solutions. It was a roundabout. DOT did that. It's on the state roads. That was all done and paid for by state money. The study was paid by state money. The council probably could have just asked the DOT to scale back their project to include a sign study, which I'm sure has already been done. Come up with the list that you're asking for now, that we're about to pay Mr. Shevlin $4,300 for, and it would have been done by state, constructed by the state. Taxpayers of Smithfield paid nothing. It was the DOT. Where's all that money coming from? State funds, local funds. Right now, Smithfield looks like they want to pay for half the signs. Even the signs on Grange Road, when the state puts up signs and does a project on a state road, they put up street signs on the local streets right next to it. They put up the stop, they don't have to put up the stop signs or the street signs, but they're included in their contract. Again, we would have paid nothing. I think the ship already sailed, and we beat up the DOT 2 weeks ago. I was really quite amazed on how bad they were treated. We could have just asked them to scale their project down, put up the signs. Sure, they would have done it. They would have saved most of the $1.2 million, maybe 20, down to 20,000, all state funds.
The problem is we had a 2011 study that was never addressed, dealing with signage and the like, and that's why the reason is that because it's a public safety issue, and because I don't want to see any ghost bikes tied up to any poles or anything in this town after the one I've seen down in Bridget's on 102. I mean, we're addressing, the police are addressing the traffic speeding issues, and now we need to get the signage up. So, like I said, it's all about public safety. So, if we can wait, another year or two for the state, well, I think we've waited long enough. We need to move on this.
You're going to have to wait until the state puts it on one of their existing contracts, and it could still be that year or two. You don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. The town, if you want it done and done now, you're right. It's all about, the town needs to pay for it, and that's what the town needs to do. I'm just pointing out the obvious. I think the work was done, or could have been done, as state funds. State doesn't always have a lot of money. We know they're broke and roads. This council just shut down the roadworks, gantry, where they were hoping to get some money. Well, 50% of the signs at the state-owned signs, well, they're only going to put them up when they have the money, or when they can add them to a contract. So I don't know that we've expedited anything.
Well, if
Just
it's
my 2 cents.
possible, if the town pays for the signs and they put it up, then that would be great. And I'll
We'll
work
see.
and I will work with the state delegation to assist us to move things forward as well.
Okay.
Mr. President, I have another question. Mr. Shevlin, you said those signs that are missing, you've checked to see if there are any work orders outstanding. There's nothing with the DOT currently.
I don't believe there is, no.
So once we found any signs that are missing, would we just double check with them to make sure there isn't anything?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions, Mr. Shevlin?
No, just, sorry, Council.
Mr. President, I have a question. I'm looking at the traffic design manual for Rhode Island. I see a section called School Warning Signs. And it gives 8 different types of signs that need to be put up. A school advance warning sign, bus stop ahead signs, school plaque, the school portion of the reduced speed limit area, school in X number of feet, an ahead, school ahead type of sign, a diagonal arrow plaque, reduced speed zone sign ahead to let people know, hey, this is coming up. This would not include any, unless there's a school bus stop right in front of the school, which there wouldn't be. This doesn't include any school bus stop ahead signs that may be missing.
No, I mean, if anything, I think in this area, you may want to have school bus turning signs maybe, but I think it's, a lot of the time, those types of signs are put in places where you don't expect the turning. I think out here with all the schools around, those are probably signs you won't need. So I think it's, if you have the school zone signs up in advance and people are aware of it, you know, I think they realize they're going to be turning in those areas, so you may not need signs like that as far as school bus turning signs.
Well, this isn't for a school bus stop ahead. So we have school bus stops all around town. We would have signs everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, this proposal is just in the areas of the 3 schools. It's not a town-wide signage program I'm looking at. It's
Okay.
just for the signs that are needed, you know, between the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school.
Okay. And that just kind of backs into my next question. The traffic design manual for Rhode Island, are these requirements or guidelines?
I'd say they're more guidelines in a lot of areas. I mean, you drive around the state, you'll see schools that don't all have school zone signs and such, but, you know, if they are for enforcement issues, if there's concerns with safety, a lot of times these signs will be put in for regulation.
Okay. And enforcement issues, you mean speeding or people not
Speeding, yeah,
following
I think the main
the
thing's
rules,
speeding.
not enforcement of the traffic design manual and guidelines?
School crossings, crosswalks, you know, proper signage for those to make sure people are aware in regards to the upcoming school crossings and such. And that's one of the things we want to take a look at too, as far as seeing how much pedestrian traffic occurs out there. I mean, I understand there is some, so I think that is, there's one area out there with school crossing sign with no pavement markings. So things like that we would make note in regards to what should be put in place. And if advanced signs are necessary, we would certainly identify those.
Would pavement markings be included, the price and
Yeah,
everything?
we'd include that in there, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I have a motion that we have Mr. Parry give us a written proposal. And that, for the amount of $43.60. Upon review by the
And
council.
the motion should include the
And it's signed by the town administrator. Signature of the town administrator.
Public Safety Director. Town Administrator.
All right, town administrator, that's correct. So motion by the chairs.
I think Council Sullivan.
Councilman Sully?
Yeah, it's second.
Is second by Councilman Sully to do so? Is there any further questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. NATO?
Yes.
Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Sherman, for your time.
Thank you.
Docket item number 8, discussion by council vote on their action on verification of school spending fund balances, budget committee. sorry.
I'm sorry?
No, no, she's going to speak first.
Oh, okay,
Before the meeting, we can open their meetings. Go ahead,
okay.
Sharon.
We, the Budget Committee, have sent all of you a letter requesting, I think what we want to do is have a little more clarification as to what it is and how it is that the end of the year fund balance that the school department has can be truly spent. We know that they did receive a letter from the state, which gave them an opinion as to how they could go about spending it, but there were several key items in that letter that we think could possibly be subject for reinterpretation, where it said that applicable laws would be part of the discussion, and that in the initial letter that was sent down to the commissioner did not include a review of the town charter provisions, and that would be the local applicable laws. And all we're really looking forward to is getting a clarification as to the proper way these funds can be spent before they're actually all spent, and also therefore looking out for the taxpayer, looking out for the town, as we begin to go through our budget review process for this coming year. And we certainly would request that the town council consider requesting a formal hearing in front of the commissioner to review these terms that we're looking for clarification on. We're certainly happy to meet with the town solicitor should the town council so vote, to go through our interpretation and our reasons why we think that this would be something that needs to be clarified now. And I think that's basically the substance of the letter that you have in front of you. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them. The other member of the Budget Committee who's here tonight is Mike Rapko, and he perhaps can answer other questions as well.
Council, have any questions for the Chairman Fennessy? Yeah, I guess you could say it's the letter by the state that basically is, again, it's what they're saying is as far as what's steeply law and what isn't. The fact is there were certain critical points that were never addressed and they're brought to their attention. And that's why I truly believe that we need our town solicitor to they'll clarify things. I know that like everything else, you get a bunch of lawyers in a room, you're going to get all different opinions. But anyway.
Well, and we would just be looking for a motion from the council tonight to have us work with the solicitor if that's the way you want it, unless you wanted to do it all on your own, to request that formal hearing.
Point of order, Mr. Solicitor, can we request that you would assist?
Yes, I spoke to Ms. Ferrisi. It appears the Department of Education put in their letter that any interested party can request a formal hearing, and I said to Ms. Ferrisi, the council wants to do that, I would file a request on behalf of the council and the Budget Committee.
And this goes back to Mr. Scanzio's letter of March 2014.
I thought it was
November.
November of 2015.
15.
November 4, 2015.
Yeah, a letter of November 2015, you requested some clarification of the Commission's March 10, 2014 advisory opinion.
The council may remember there was some discussion about other cities and towns that actually have a reappropriation process, and I think they want some clarification to see whether the school committee needs to do that.
Like Cumberland and Jamestown, were those the two
I
communities?
saw a few of them.
Those are two of the communities that we looked at.
Yeah, Jamestown, Cumberland, okay.
So I'm certainly happy to do whatever the council wants that hearing. I'll request that hearing.
Absolutely.
I have a question. So the fiscal year 16's fund balance isn't in question, it's the fiscal year 15 fund balance. I was under the impression that the last time we had met that kind of these agenda items all go together, right? This one, the one with the GREENVILLE school committee, and the action with the solicitor to meet with, I guess, Mr. Brian concerning the past pool of surplus. I feel they all kind of go together. Because if we vote on this now, it kind of negates the next two. I mean, we, as a council, had the school committee spend time, as well as the administration spend time, coming up with a plan as well. At the meeting, we discussed spending $1 million surplus. We also talked about, basically working together, coming up with a plan together, building the bridge that's been broken for so many years. So I'd like to actually discuss the school committee before we make any movement on the verification of the spending fund balances, to see what they've come up with. It's in our packets. And again, I think it needs to be a work in progress between us, the budget committee, and the school committee. I think that was the direction I thought we went in at that meeting. I could be wrong, but I thought that was the direction we went in when we asked for the administration's input, the school committee's input, the facilities management input, as well as the budget committee's input.
You're correct, we did ask for their input. However, now, they just they think they have the authority to spend it all. And that's the conundrum. So that's why the need for the solicitor to have the hearing, so this way, if they do have the authority, then so be it. But if we have the authority, then it's a different situation. And we can work with them, yes. But the idea is that, it's just the idea, it's basically who has the authority to spend the budget, spend the surplus funds? And that's the $64,000 question.
Mr. President, it's also a matter of what is our role as the Budget Committee in reviewing all of these various expenditures? Our role is to give you, the town council, guidance and recommendations. But if we haven't even received this list, we're not involved in the process. Capital budgeting process has not been followed. I realize that in many of the items that they may be discussing tonight have already gone through prior year's capital budgeting, but they haven't been presented to the capital budget to say, this is what we want to spend the money on. You had recommended that be level of medium or high or low, and now you're telling us, the capital budget committee or the capital budget process, that you want it now. It's more a matter of what's the proper process that this should really be going through. Clarify it once and for all, and we can walk away. And then I guess one of the other considerations is, how does all of this expenditure affect the MOE?
Yes.
So, and getting that more clarified, is it by item, that this one does affect the MOE, this one doesn't, this one does, that one doesn't? It's just a matter of, we again as the budget committee need to know some of these answers, so that as we're planning our review of all of the various departments, we know how we're looking at each of the funds that are coming into being. Mike?
Mr. Rapka?
Mike Rapko, member of the Budget Committee. I think it's important to have a discussion about MOE and about fund balance, but I think the issue that Beth Hersey brought up in your packets is that you still have to go through the process to get an opinion from the commissioner to clarify his remarks, because if you read in the packet, all he's saying is that he looked at one state law, a very general state law, and said the absence of mentioning fund balance means you can go ahead and do it, as long as it follows applicable law. Well, I mean, if there are other laws which we don't know about, whether it's in the charter or state, we have to investigate that and bring it to the attention of the commissioner to find out, what are these other laws, whether at the charter level or the state, try to understand whether that affects his decision. The other process is that other cities and towns are using reappropriation of fund balance. We want to make sure, well, what is the correct process from the commissioner as to what you should do with the school committee to submit that information back to the council when you are going to reappropriate fund balance. And could it affect MOE? We don't think so, but let the commissioner tell us that, reappropriation of fund balance does or does not affect the MOE balance. I don't think it does, but let the commissioner respond to that so that we don't get into an issue in the future that if we're spending money on technology, it's going to cause a problem. Or it's a gray area, and now it's going to default to MOE. So I think we have to go forward with the process of a public hearing to clarify the legality of what's going on. And I think tonight it'd be good to have a general discussion about the fund balance, the MOE, all the issues surrounding it as to what's going to cause what and what could affect MOE. That discussion should take place after you make a decision about the public hearing.
Is there any other questions, Mr. Rapco?
So, for clarification, Mr. Racco, basically, we're just, we're certainly concerned with the fund balance for 2015, but we also want to get a definitive on 2014, 2013 as well. We want to know what the state's opinion is, or whatever law
Yeah,
dictates.
the term, I guess when you're in the current budget year, your
Current.
appropriation that you gave for fiscal year 16,
Yeah.
that is not a fund balance.
Correct.
That's in the current appropriation. So the council and the budget committee have no authority over that money. That was appropriated for fiscal year 16. The schools committee decides how to spend that money. The issue is
MOA.
beginning fund balance, which is what took place on July 1st of 2015. That beginning fund balance is the real fund balance, which is the historical surplus. So everything as of July 1st is the real fund balance that we're questioning with the commissioner.
Any further questions, Mr. Rapco?
Can I say something, Mr. President?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Lombardi.
I'm here, I'm not here speaking on behalf of the school committee, but if I may just make a few statements. One is that this has been going on for quite a long time, about the opinion about whether we can spend money from a surplus or not. We have the opinion from Abbott twice, I believe. Mr. Scunzio gave an opinion. I don't know if the solicitor gave an opinion or not. But we're here following whatever the commission is going to say anyway. We're here with a plan, spending, asking you for your support. That was the last meeting. That's what you asked us to do. We put it together, we came back to spend it. I don't, if the solicitor and everyone else wants to go get an opinion or anything else, that's fine, I don't have an objection to that. What I would have an objection to is delaying the process in the meantime. So, you know, once money is appropriated to the schools, it's appropriated. The council has no my opinion is, council has no jurisdiction on that. Drops back to the school committee. Title 16 is very clear in my opinion on that. So I'm not trying to throw a wrench into this. All I'm trying to say is that we have a plan, we're bringing it to you, we're asking you for support, and you want to go back to the commissioner for another opinion. Well, it's going to be the third opinion.
Well, the council's never had its own opinion, and that's where the school committees had their opinions, but the council never received it based on other information that was excluded when it was brought to the commissioner. Now, we like to lay everything on the table, so all the facts are present, and then we'll know who has what authority to do something.
Right, but we're here anyway.
I understand that.
So, I mean, we're asking you for support on it. So I understand if you need to go to the commissioner, but I mean, I don't know how many times we can go to the commissioner asking.
Well, like I said, the school department's been went to the commissioner several times. I think it's about time the council goes to the commissioner in response. With other facts, that's all. I mean, it's, you know, you can lay a broad brush on one particular law, but maybe, like you said, there's other laws that pertain to it. Maybe there's something that wasn't, like I said, again, wasn't addressed. I'm sure our solicitor was also the chairman for the attorney for the private school committee, has his thoughts on this, and that's why we'd like to have an opportunity to make our case before the commission. And also, too, but we can also at the same time look at what what you're gonna, where you wanna spend the money and how you wanna spend the money. And at the same time too, is that, something that gonna have to be done just tonight. It can wait until it can wait for a period of time, and I'm sure getting an opinion from the commissioner will not take more than maybe 60 days.
But at the last meeting, you asked us to come back
Right,
with the plan.
right, with the
And
plan.
that, basically, if you were happy with the plan, it
Well,
would be
and
approved.
we're gonna see what the plan is tonight, and we'll move forward afterwards. Mr. Mr. Clifford.
I'm a little nervous about what I just heard here, because that plan that you have in front of you now for the expenditure of fund balance was presented to us at our last school committee meeting. There was not a great deal of discussion about that plan. I didn't realize we were promoting that plan tonight as something that we all voted to support. There were things in that plan that I don't even support. There are things in that plan that I've identified have never been in a capital budget in the past. So I thought, truthfully, I think bringing that plan here tonight is premature until we actually have a discussion amongst ourselves. We took things out of that plan and used the money of this year's surplus to buy some things that were in that plan. But the remaining items in that plan, I didn't feel we've had a thorough conversation as a board to vote, yes, we agree with everything in here, or we don't agree with everything in here. So I'm getting nervous about where we're at, and I did think when I knew it was coming here, I thought personally that it was premature, because we should have had a thorough discussion on the plan before we forwarded anything to you. We basically are forwarding to you what was provided to us by the superintendent of schools. In regard to the question of the appeal and the request of the commissioner for the ruling, I think, I was on that budget committee for 3 years, as you people were sitting on that council for 3 years, and we did not have a cooperative spirit and a relationship with the school department. And right now you do have a cooperative relationship. However, I worry about the day where you won't have a cooperative relationship again. And that's why I do believe getting a true, an opinion from the standpoint of the town, raising the issues of the budget committee, is important. Because you want to have something in writing as documentation that if we don't have a cooperative school committee, at least we have this rule to fall back on. I mean, it shouldn't be, is it a cooperative school committee or a not cooperative school committee? We should be following the processes outlined. And I do, when I was on the budget committee, we were asking for this appeal 2 years ago. And I can empathize with them, and I get nervous when I hear, well, we're cooperative. Yeah, we're cooperative, but tomorrow you could have a totally another board and be back to where you were 3 years ago. And that wasn't a fun place to be. So.
Mr. Rockman.
Back on the agenda item of the request of the public hearing, another option of going back to the commissioner is that if our charter language is not strong enough, it's going to tell us that we have to change our charter if we want to take control, where the council has control of the fund balance. If the commissioner said that state law is neutral, that I think, if we can ask maybe Pigliosi, if state law is neutral on the subject, it sounds like you can change your town charter without having a conflict with state law. So it's going to give you an option. If he says your charter is too weak, the language is not strong enough to take control of the fund balance, you have to change your charter. I'm hoping that says, okay, if the public, if North Smithfield want to change the town charter, they can put language in there that gives the council authority over the fund balance, and it doesn't violate state law if state law is neutral. And we're hearing that state law is neutral. So that's another option that you would get feedback from going to a public hearing that we don't have today. I don't know if our charter is strong enough to deny or overturn the commissioner's opinion. Maybe Mr. Igliosi wants to make a comment.
I'm happy to. Mr. President, I really think, again, I'm assuming, and we're trying to follow the discussion, I assume we're on item number 8.
That's correct.
Obviously, my understanding is item number 8 tracks the January 26th letter that was presented by the Budget Committee. Your January 26th letter?
Yes.
So, I would just recommend to the council that they follow through. This is a request by the Budget Committee. They want to verify the balances. This is what they want the process to be. item number 9, you're asking for that appeal. I recommend the council make the appeal. Support your budget committee. I don't want to, I'll make all the arguments before the commissioner that either have or have not been made before, and we'll have a hearing. And they'll make a ruling. I don't want to prejudge it. I'm happy to make whatever. I think the arguments are pretty clear, that there's some confusion and conflict between Title 16 and the letter issued by the commissioner on whether or not the reference to all other applicable laws includes potentially the charter provisions that may provide a budgetary reappropriation that they've seen in other towns. I don't have the answer to that, but I think that that's a valid concern. I'm happy to make it for the board. I'm here to serve the council. I'm happy to do that.
Any further questions for the solicitor? The hearing, Chair likes to make the motions for our solicitor to go forward to support our budget committee and to get to challenge, or to have, I should say, to have a hearing dealing with the issue, and so we can have final clarification.
So just for a point of order, so we've addressed 8, and now we're into 9. Now
Right, that's what I thought too.
just want to make sure. Are we okay?
Yes, except that there's a typo. You correct me on my typo with Mr. Vice President. I'm going to correct you quick.
Oh my God, don't correct that.
It should be ride.
All right, so in essence, we've discussed item 8. Now we should move up to item 9, just to make sure there's a motion correct.
The motion is to have a phone in with Brian.
Well, I guess the question would be on number 8, what is the budget committee looking? Is it the verification of fund balance is consistent with
We've had that discussion.
I thought so.
So,
They're
yeah, so now we're
looking
moving
for
into 9. I just want to make sure we're on the correct agenda item
That's my
before we make the
understanding.
motion.
That's my understanding, but I'm looking at the chair to see if there's some action they needed on item number 8.
I think perhaps what the confusion is that they both say the word vote.
Right.
Right, so the idea is if there's going to be some sort of a motion made, it would cover both 8 and 9.
Or other action. So other action, we're going to move into, on the agenda item, if I may, Mr. President. I think that we've discussed item 8 on the agenda. Now it's time to move into item 9, just to play it safe. Okay? So now we're moving into item 9.
Discussion by council, board of direction for council is to meet with RIDE concerning a past ruling of surplus. So this is which we had discussed, and so therefore I move that it does take place, that we can get clarification from RIDE on this issue, and also in supporting our budget committee, and also, again, it's all about process, and so I move that the solicitor arranges this meeting and states our case before the commission.
Is there a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Councilman Zawinski. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Yes. Mrs. Nato?
Yes.
Mr. Solly? Mr. Swalenski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes. Item number